Hey kids, Invertical here and welcome back to Empyrion. As you can see, I am standing on what's left of the alien vessel. That's right, I have stripped, I rebuilt the Blue Dawn, by the way, with the factory, but I have stripped a large portion of the crap off of this ship. I took the two rockets off the side of it, as well as those giant wings, so I can actually get it to land closer to the ground. Somewhere in here is where the thrusters are. I'm loath to tear this apart, but at the same time I'm not too happy with the fact that everything is made out of metal. That's right. The most armored and defended parts of this they're not even combat steel, they're not even hardened steel, it's straightforward metal. So yeah. The problem with these lasers and the rockets is I need to be, I think it's like level 25, 23, something like that, to actually make the ammunition for them. I mean, they're awesome, except without being the minimum level to unlock them, they're pointless to me. You know, big, beautiful, gorgeous firing guns that I have no ammunition for and I can't use. So yeah, I'm not at all happy with that. I tore the back end of this ship off, this whole cargo bay, which originally went out to here, or landing bay. I'm actually going to convert this into an engineering department, cargo bay type thing. I've already found where the work core was located. It's behind what is now this little bulkhead. Yes, it's wrapped in metal. It's not even wrapped in combat or hardened, but that's alright. I went up to the asteroids in space and I picked up a whack of Sathium, and I multi-tooled a lot of this down on disassemble, so I just took the steel plates and threw them in a constructor with Sathium. The normal constructor does not build most blocks anymore, thanks to some of the changes, including one that they just introduced today, which is really kind of whacked. I'm really hoping that they fix this when it comes up to it here, but I'm going to run over to this constructor and I'll show you some of this stuff that I'm running into here. Okay, we're over at the regular constructors. In order to make some of the ammunition that I need, for example, these missiles, which it says I can make in this constructor, I need what is called the oscillator. The oscillator is what used to be the advanced circuit board, just so you know. There is no template in here anywhere to make this oscillator. So I can't make the part to make the missile in this constructor. I've run into this with a few things, like hardened steel plates. Hardened steel plate. And there is no hardened steel plate. There's steel plates, but there is no hardened steel plate. See, that's the problem, is they took out a lot of the things you can craft, and not realizing that they did it, they have made it so that you can't craft other things. You know, it's kind of messed up. yeah, these are a new thing that they finally added, stair blocks for wood and concrete. So this will be an alter, something else you can add to your base builds. You can't really do it on anything else, and that's nice. I'm tired of seeing capital vessels made out of wood, for example. I don't mind a wood veneer or something, but like, don't make your capital vessel out of wood. Let's see what else. There's a few other minor changes that have been implemented. I haven't found all of them yet, but yeah, this was part of the patch that just came through actually just before I got ready to record today, which is part of the reason I haven't gone and searched out the patch notes. So I wanted to show you what this ship looked like after I have torn it down, which now you've seen. Still don't know what I'm going to do with these lasers. I mean, it's more lasers than you're normally allowed on a ship, which, you know, is great. But really, I mean, it would look really cool if it would fire, but that's 16 lasers off of each, well, per shot. And if I can't make those and I'm relying on salvage for them, I'll never find that much to fully arm it, let alone fire multiple rounds. So they're pretty much completely useless to me. Also, let's see if I can do this without the game crashing on me again. Mission number 3, every time I touch it I get the eternal error problem. I simply loaded this one and hit activate mission down on the bottom, and if I want to see it I have to hit show the briefing. Find the EX7 station and clean the cargo floor. This ship is not a combat vessel. If I was using this ship in an actual game, I would be saying this was more of a drop ship or a light, very light carrier made for going to a planet, dropping off HVs and small vessels and such. These laser guns are really, they're pretty, but they're, pardon my French, completely useless. By the time I hit level high enough to actually manufacture the ammunition for them, I could have actually built better weapons, better turreted weapons and such. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with them. Now the problem is this is the front of the ship. So if I leave this as a cargo bay or loading bay on the front of the ship, that means I've got this giant ugly wall right at my front door. Now that's fine if I'm going to use this as, like I said, as a lander, in which case I'll probably actually build a ramp down, extend these pylons. I was thinking of extend these pylons out and kind of enshroud this a little bit so it has a point to it, keeping the bay doors actually set back into the side of the hull so that it's not going to take a direct hit on the bay doors to wipe it out. See if I can jump up here again. Come on. In you go. I took out most of these sensor blocks. I'm still finding them all over the bloody place. This is insane. I don't know what they were thinking or what they were doing when they made this many sensor blocks, but yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut here. I'm going to do a load of building. I mean a lot of building. I want to make this engineering section back here. Figure out what I'm going to do with this loading area. I took out these gardens because, I mean, seriously, it's a capital vessel. It's a space ship. It's not a base. you know, planter boxes shouldn't even be allowed on capital vessels, but that's just me. I'm also finding a lot of random blocks still floating in midair. The other part of the problem I found with this ship was they made everything out of wall tiles. And so much of this ship is like, I could shoot through this with a pistol. So, yeah. I'm going to relocate the bridge in between these two, kind of where it was, but in between these two features. I'll probably repair them so they look a little bit better, put in some combat glass, make it look more like an actual bridge, control bridge of some kind, and I'm going to relocate the core. Seriously, having the core sitting behind one layer of metal really really kind of bugs me, actually. Oh look, there's a random plant still sitting here. Other than that, yeah, I don't think there's much else. I'm going to do a lot of, basically just rebuild a lot of the ship. I have made a load of combat armor. As I said, I went up and I turned this ship into steel plates, and then I just made Satium and combat armor, and I've had one constructor basically grinding on that for about 10 hours now. So there's actually going to be some combat steel, especially on the outer hull. I want this thing to take a couple of hits. I don't care if the details get shot off easily. Like, I'm sorry, steel plates, I don't care. They can get knocked off easy. That's what they're there for. They're a detail thing. But the actual hull itself, especially around sensitive areas, is going to be combat steel. So I'm going to cut here. I will pick it up when I get done some building and I have this ship ready for fitting. Hopefully I'll go up a couple of levels. One other thing, I have actually experienced my first death on this scenario. I was hoping to actually Iron Man it, but I ran into a problem. I fell off the ship in front of a pack of raptors, and they didn't like the idea. Started chasing me across the terrain. As soon as I started trying to shoot back to defend myself, of course I've only got the level 1 shotgun, so I'm blasting away with that thing, and it's like 6 shots to kill the raptor. Are you kidding me? Kind of thing. And I turned around and there was a tribe of the little spear guys, whatever they are. They decided that they didn't like the idea that I was shooting raptors. And some bugs came and joined them, and it was like, I'm being swarmed. So unfortunately, I ran out of life before I ran out of bullets, and I ran out of bullets before I ran out of enemies. So that was death number 1. So if I was Iron Manning this the way I wanted to, yes, it would have been it. It would have been over, game over, and reset and redo. But I'm still playing this for fun because I'm literally just waiting for the updates to catch up to the server and everything to come back online. So don't go away, kids. I'll be back with the reveal of the completed or mostly completed ship. Okay, kids, we are back. I have done pretty much all of the alterations to this ship that I'm going to do, with the exception of actually installing weapons and landing gear, believe it or not. So I'm going to jump into drone mode here, and I'll show you that real quick. It's on the ground, but it needs landing gear. Also, I had a problem here. I put down a connect to base. I put this down. I have multi-tooled this already, and it is gone, but it's a ghost image. But yeah, I want to put some landing gears on this thing so it can actually touch down on the ground. And I have installed ramps on the front. These ramps are actually connected to a switch. So let's get out of that mode so we can actually see this ship. And I had to do this at night because honestly, just the way this looks at night, is really actually quite cool. I put guards up in front of the loading ramp, the loading bay, the door. I redid the bridge, and I'll show you the bridge from the inside here in a second. I did a couple of alterations to the scale effect on the sides here. This is a location where there's weapons are going to go. I'm going to actually put in some rocket launchers on there. I extended the catwalk that was here. Kept the same pattern. I tried to keep the same pattern a lot of the place, all over. I redid the interior, since I keep losing drone mode. I redid the interior of the hangar slightly. Basically, as you saw last episode, or when I cut there, I had gutted this hangar, and basically that's all I did. Is I textured and I added some details. I added a couple of lights up here and there. These are actually not lights. These are actually a texture. It's just they put out so much light. It's like the textures now, they have so many lighted texture effects that you really don't even need lights for any part of the ship to any real degree. So I've got those. I put stairs going up on either side. It's mirrored on either side. I've got all your essentials, a little console here. There's one over there. A storage locker, a oxygen, med station, ammo or armor locker, and then food step and fridge. What I've done is I've done a little bit of hunting as well and stocked up my fridge with some meat. I have to process this yet. I put in textured stairs, and I put in a kind of a railing. They don't have a proper railing for these stairs, so I actually used wall slopes, and it actually turned out really, really nice. This, of course, sliding door goes into the mechanical room. Kept a lot of the same features. I did shove everything kind of back in here where it belongs. To constructors, I put the large generators up on the ceiling, as well as the warp tank. Tucked my offline protection and gravity generator back here, and hung some ammo boxes from the ceiling. So when they're fully loaded, once I actually have weapons, they're fully loaded. This is again the same light panels, and they make a lot of light. Add your headlamp into it, and that's all the light you need to get around on this ship. The access to the bridge, I put in a new. This is the you saw from the outside, that spine running along the back. This is the inside of it. It's just a block. It's actually large enough to launch a drone in, so it's 2-block high walkway. This area here goes back to a window, but there's really nothing there. Now all of this area has no oxygen. The only area that does have oxygen is the bridge. So we go up here through this door, and there's my oxygen ventilator. We're over top of the main hangar, and I put 3 consoles. I really wish they would allow it so that you could actually put chairs right next to the console. Like, they really need to make it so that you can merge blocks in the same space. That would be really nice. And finally, cockpit. Yeah, and I mean, all told, it's actually been probably about 10-12 hours since I started working on this. But that is it for this ship. As I said, except for weapons, I haven't really changed anything else on board. I've got no defense turrets in it whatsoever. But if I go to a third person, I haven't changed the laser cannons. I've scrapped the rockets. I'm not going to bother with the rockets. I haven't changed the thrusters in the nacelles, although if I wanted to put this on the server later, which I might, I will have to rework these nacelles. One, mainly because they are simply just iron and not combat. What else? There's really not a lot else I did to this ship. I've kept as much of the original hull as I can. As you can see, I've added a few lighting effects with the purple, and I've extended this spline out just a little bit so it doesn't just end now, it actually carries and connects all the way to the bridge. I added some lighting for the bridge, or on top of the bridge, and some highlights, basically where those weapons are going to go and in behind the things. It's not a very heavily lit ship, but it's a light landing craft with big honking guns. I mean, it's laser guns. I mean, yeah, they're not overly powerful, but if I fire 16 per shot, there's a good chance it might actually do some damage. From the first person seat, of course, you really can't see a lot of anything, but you can actually see outside with the night vision on. But the only thing that's left to do now, whoops, did I turn the thrusters on? Let's try that. There we go. As I said, the only thing that's really left to do now is to add a couple of weapon emplacements on it. Mainly it's going to be smaller point defense things more than anything else. Landing gear that has to go in underneath, I'm going to figure that out and put those in, and yeah, I think that would be it. That's really all it needs. It looks a lot cleaner without those ugly wings on the side of it. I'm sorry whoever designed this ship, but those were not something I really found attractive or appealing. And if I turn off my lighting, this does look really awesome at night. I love the design. However, the fact that it was entirely made out of iron scares me. That being said, it's not too big of a deal to go back over it later with multi-tool and some hardened steel plates and bring it all up to snuff. So there we have it. I need to go mining for some ores and resources to build my weapons emplacements, and then I need to get my level up a little bit higher, I think, to get my ability to actually make ammunition for these pulse lasers. I'm almost there, but I basically have to pretty much max level for that. I've unlocked the flak turret, which is one of the things. I want to have rocket and flak turrets on this ship as defense, point defense and such. And of course the point defense turrets as well. I'm not a big fan of the miniguns on the capital vessels, and I'm not a huge fan of the cannons. The cannons are okay in atmosphere. I mean, if I'm taking this in atmosphere, cannons and miniguns are good. The only reason I'm going to do the minigun plasma drill is to get the drill turrets, but I very rarely ever use lasers or pulse lasers or plasma turrets because the damage they do in the amount of time it takes to make is not that great. The artilleries are nice, but they're a little bit big. Flak turrets, we found that, yeah, they don't do a lot of damage, like 40 points damage, but they had a fairly good cyclic rate, 150 rounds per minute, which compared to the 0.8 points of damage from that, or the cannon, wherever the cannon is, 16 points of damage from the cannon. I mean, the cannon fires a little bit faster than the flak, but it has 1/3 the range. No, not 1/3 the range. Looking at the wrong thing. 800 meters range, so 100 meters less range. Cannon is still a very good early game weapon. I think I would go with the flak and the rockets on this, though. So that's it for that. Thanks all for watching, kids, and I'll see you in the next episode once I'll get this ship back up and running and we head on to find the EX7 station. So good night for now.